Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs, and today I'm here to do the speed through version of the second part of my live stream where I demonstrated and pretty much created with you guys the exploding love letter stack album. And just an FYI, I have changed the name to Exploding Envelope Album because I just think that it pretty much opens up the theme so that you guys can go ahead and create it for any kind of theme. And although it is inspired by the love letter bundle stack, it doesn't necessarily have to be about romance or anything like that. It can be pretty much created for any kind of occasion and or purpose. And so through this part of the speed through or the live stream that I created, we're going to be working completely on decorating the outside of the album itself. We're going to be gluing on some handmade envelopes that I created. I'm also going to share with you guys, kind of show you guys my process on how I created some kind of like ephemera pieces that are going to go tucked in between the envelopes themselves. Now I do recommend that if you want, the full process, to go and check out that video, that live stream. I will have a link down below, plus you will see a card flash up over this video for the first part, the first live stream, the first speed through, as well as the second live stream for this video. Now, as I had mentioned before, I will be giving this album away to one lucky winner, and pretty much at this point in time I've already done the whole entire process. All three videos, all three live streams have pretty much been completed. The album is completed in full. So if you were a part of those live streams, then you're going to get an additional entry into winning this album. If you were not a part of those live streams but would still like the chance to win, then all you have to do is pretty much go on over to the sped up versions, which there's one available now. This will be the second part, and I will also have the third part where I will be decorating the inside covers and just adding the final touches to the album. And so you just have to go through those videos, and there's specific instructions on that video for what you need to comment in order to be a participant in the in the giveaway. And so pretty much as you see me doing here, I have created some handmade envelopes. Now they're not the most perfect envelopes in the world. I kind of free-handed them, and they're all kind of like different styles, if you will. But you can go ahead and use envelopes that you might already have and decorate it. If you've watched my live stream, then you will see how I more or less go about making that process of decorating an envelope a lot easier by pretty much cutting the pieces apart that you're going to be, the papers that you're going to be using to decorate them, and you can do it that way. Or if you already have some pretty envelopes that you would like to use, then you can pretty much skip all of this, and then you can just go to bundling and pretty much organizing how your album covers are going to look. So to pretty much hold them in place, I'm going to be using some foam tape, and this just kind of lets me just hold them in place for now. They're not permanently glued down to each other, because I'm still going to be working on this. I just want to get the idea for the style of how I want them to kind of lay over each other. Now I only use 2 for the front and for the back, but you can use as many envelopes as you want. You can stack as many envelopes as you want. It all depends on the look that you're going for. And so, like I said, if you want to get a full, the full feel of what I was talking about, the little tips and tricks that I go through, and how I went about doing these, all of these different processes, then I do encourage you to watch the live stream, as you will get to go through a lot of my trials and errors and just, learn with me as I go through the process. So what I'm going to be doing is I decided to add what I call a crown to this, and I found this beautiful sticker. This has the word beautiful nonetheless, which you saw me show here. Now I need something to back those stickers up, because I don't want, I'm not just going to stick the letters on individually. So I'm going to be making like these tiny little journaling cards, if you will, if you want to call them that. But pretty much I'm going to be matting the letters. And what I did to start off with was I cut out a 2x2 inch square, and the word is 9 letters long. So I went ahead and cut out 9 of them. Now what I did is that I grabbed a piece of copy paper, and I just grabbed myself a pretty font kind of stamp, and I just stamped out the whole entire paper so that I have like a nice little background going. Again, depending on your theme and your colors, you might have pretty pattern paper, and you don't have to go through all of this just you know, you could use what you have. Again, you don't necessarily have to use words. You could decorate it any way that you want. The whole idea of the crown is just an embellishment, but you do not have to, you know, this is not part of the requirement. This is just what I had available, and I used it. Why not? And so I'm gonna fiddle a little bit with this because, again, the letters are pretty large, but they're not that large. And I personally like to start from a bigger working area and work my way down to exactly what I need. So I did go ahead and start with this 2x2, but I will be trimming off actually about 1/3 of the size by the time that I'm done with it all. And I'm going to be distressing this with ink, and, you know, just kind of going through that whole process in motion. Because the word is so large, it was a little bit difficult. Something simpler like the word love, or even beauty, or you know, like the word you, or other abbreviations of different words might be a little bit easier, you know, for the size of the album that you're going. This album is about 5 by 7 inches without all of the decorations and without all of the envelopes and stuff like that. It's 5 by 7 inches, and so, you know, I didn't really have a lot of room to work with, and out of all things I chose the largest word that I can find. But yeah, so more or less I'm just kind of trimming through everything and getting that perfectly down to size. And you're gonna see me kind of fiddle with the placements of where exactly do I want this. If for those of you that have caught my my video for the Shabby Spring Collection Hop, which was a hop that we hosted here on YouTube. It was a 5-week hop where everything that we created was shabby chic. The last project of that hop was to create either a love letter stack, you know, or, you know, I think it was a hanger or something else like that. And I decided to kind of switch up the theme a little bit by incorporating the love letter stack idea, but turning it into a keepsake, turning it into an album, which is something that I never had seen done here on YouTube. And I thought that it would be cool, it would be a cool idea to kind of, you know, see that, you know, see that all played out. So that's pretty much what I did. That's what motivated this project. So here I'm adding some lace. I'm going to be adding lace to the whole entire border of the front cover as well as the back cover. Again, anything that you see me doing here, these are just things that I did for this, you know, for this project, but you can switch it up and add whatever you would like. You don't even, if you don't have lace, or if you're low on lace, you don't even have to add lace. It will still look very pretty with other types of embellishments, you know, and things like that. So work with what you have. This is a great kind of project for using scraps, because you get to tuck things in between the layers to kind of make it look like you've dropped a stack of letters, and you know how papers kind of get shifted around and moving around. So it has that kind of aesthetic look. So all different kinds of scraps that you might have available or that you've been collecting, this is definitely perfect for that kind of a project. And so I'm gonna be doing that. I've covered up everything with lace. I've moved all the lace around to make it a little bit ripply by just using a little stylus there, but you can also use lace that that already has that ripple to it. So again, just repeating the process in the back and getting that done on there as well. I personally like the way that the lace kind of kind of peeks out from different areas. You won't get the full effect of the lace because, again, we have different things that we are layering on top of this. So you're going to see lace in some areas and some areas you're not. If you really want the lace to kind of show, then I recommend you using a larger lace or doubling up your layers of lace so that you have lace maybe on different areas. Maybe add some lace to one of the envelopes themselves so that you have lace kind of poking out of different places. So we're almost done with this part of adding the lace. And again, this is kind of like a really cool kind of project you can kind of just throw together. You can even use different color laces, different pattern laces, because the whole look of it just kind of kind of falling and just having things kind of poking out, different things kind of poking out of different places. So that's the reason why the word exploding kind of came into play, because it looks like it's bursting, like there's just stuff flying out of everywhere, out of every little nook and cranny. So it felt fitting to me to use that as part of the descriptive word for this kind of album. And it's definitely something different, you know. This also kind of creates itself to be more of a centerpiece, so you can, once it's all decorated and everything is nice, you can go ahead and just, you know, put this anywhere and it'll look beautiful. So pretty much what I'm discussing here is just different things that you can do with it. I spoke about adding pictures to the journaling cards, so you don't necessarily even have to use journaling cards. You can mat your photos and put different size photos to decorate your envelopes, as well as decorate the back of the envelopes, plus the photos that you could put inside of the envelope. So you can really add a lot of pictures, even though it's only got 4 envelopes on the inside. All the different flaps and just all the different journaling cards that you place on there lend themselves to become, like, you know, photo places. So you can take a lot of opportunity here and add a lot of pictures. So this is when I kind of decided, like, okay, this is a little bit too big for me creating that kind of crown. There's just so many letters that I need to somehow find a way to compress it all. And since on my original album that I created in this theme, I did a crown, but I used only 4 journaling cards. It was a little bit easier because I only had to put the word love. For this one, because the word is so long, I need to find a way to kind of put all the letters there, but make it like one fluid, you know, put the whole word, as opposed to kind of scattering them around everywhere. And so I just kind of trimmed up some of the sizes so that it fits a little bit better, and it gives me kind of like the look that I was looking for. Now for this video, what I would like for you to let me know is if you had to pick a theme to create one of these albums, what theme would it be? It can be a season, it can be an occasion, it could be anything of that nature. And again, I do appreciate, you know, you guys' comments, and I really like to see, and I engage more when, you know, I see that you guys are actually watching the video. And, you know, you can definitely tell by the kind of communication that you guys, you know, put forth as far as the comments that you leave. So definitely let me know, you know, what kind of theme and anything else that you would like to share with me as far as anything that you've learned from watching this process and things of that nature, because that really does mean a lot to me. And I will only be entering people who have valid comments. So just keep that in mind. So this is some of the ephemera that I cut out, and I pretty much used a paper pad that I had, which is a black and white paper pad by DCBW. DCWV. I think that's how it is, right? DCWV. And I pretty much used one of the papers that was already in there, and I just cut apart some of the pieces to kind of create some of the ephemera pieces that I'm going to be using on here. Now, when you don't have your own ephemera, like store-bought ephemera, you can always make some, you guys. You can use your stamps. Again, using scraps is a great way to do this. Just stamp over some of those scraps, you know, use the white side. And that's pretty much what I did. I made sure that on all the white sides, because this is not double-sided paper, that I went ahead and just stamped it all out so that it's got something both in the front and the back, because this is a kind of like a 360 album, which pretty much means that you can pretty much display from the front as well as you can display from the back. You want to make sure that, you know, everything has something visually stimulating, that there are little things that are peeking out from all angles of the album itself. So I went ahead and used some of my stamps, and I got a peacock, and I really use a lot of this font because, again, it's supposed to be like a lettered, like a, you know, it's made of envelopes, so we assume that there's letters in the envelopes. So I used the font quite a lot when creating some of the ephemera pieces, but I also incorporate other stamps and just, you know, other little things. If you don't have a stamp that has fonts or script or anything like that, don't worry about that. Use what you have. Use what you have and make it great. I'm sure you will. And that's, you know, that's kind of what's awesome about this. You get the opportunity to use what you have. You don't necessarily have to go and buy, you know, something to create this kind of a project. Even like letters, junk mail that you get in the mail, you can just decorate those envelopes and use them. So you can pretty much make this out of anything, even on a very limited kind of supply. And I kind of did this on a limited supply, believe me, you guys, because I don't have that many things that are black and white. I only have the one paper pad, I think maybe, yeah, like one paper pad, and then one paper pad that's 12 by 12, and then one smaller one that's like a 6 by 8 or something like that. And that's pretty much what I have as far as black and white papers and stuff like that with those kind of patterns. And even those were not solid. And this one that I use actually has some gold in it, which I really didn't care too much for. But I cover up a lot of that gold with some pearls, which you'll see me do a little bit later on. So here what I'm doing is I'm making it look like a distressed kind of letter, kind of worn, kind of old. And even though I didn't distress it with ink, I did go ahead and distress the edges. And I didn't want to add like vintage photo or anything like that, because again, I wanted the theme to be black, white, and gray. So I just kind of left them as they were. And I didn't want to add black to the edges either. Because, you know, I just didn't want it to be too bold. I wanted that white to just kind of show. And then I just stamped out everything with black. So just kind of gluing down some of my pieces. And to get the full effect of this and how I did it, then definitely I encourage you to go watch that live, especially if you really want to make something like this. Then the lives, going to the lives and following along with how I did them as I did them will probably be your best bet, so that you can get the full feel of how it is, and you know, you can create it. And if you do create it, by all means, I would love to see it. Share with me. I have an Instagram. I don't do Facebook, you guys, but I do have an Instagram. It's pretty much Elemental Designs but backwards, so it's at Design Elemental on Instagram. And you can definitely send me the picture or even link me in the picture. I would love to see it. If you want to email it to me because you don't have any of those things, then by all means I encourage you to do that as well. I would love to see it. It really does light up my heart when I see that you guys recreate the things that I create. And I definitely get super inspired by seeing how you guys, you know, incorporate it and even change it up a little bit, so on and so forth, and make the idea your own. Because that's what we do as crafters. We see things, we become inspired, and sometimes we'll do them as we see them, but a lot of the times we will switch it up and do something different, kind of like what I did with this album. It is inspired by the love letter stack, but I turned it into an album. So, you know, everything, you can switch it up. It's you know, it's not a big deal, you guys. It's not a big deal. I would still love to see it. So I pretty much glued down my envelopes. At this point in time, I've layered my pieces the way that I wanted to, and that's kind of why I went ahead and kind of just stuck them together with some foam tape to begin with, because that kind of gives me the idea, okay, this is what I have, this is where things are going to be peeking out from. So when I go create my pieces as far as my ephemera and stuff like that, or even look for things that I'm going to be adding, then it just gives me a better idea of what's going to be showing exactly and what's not going to be showing. So that I can kind of accommodate my pieces in that way. And as you can see, this has a lot of gold. In part 3, I will be changing this up, so make sure that you check that out if you want to see exactly how, you know, what the final touches are and how I end up decorating the inside. I actually end up having some fun with my Cricut machine. I end up cutting out some really cool shapes. And even creating things out of other shapes to get what to get the look that I'm looking for. So hopefully you guys will tune into that. In the meanwhile, the live stream is already up, so if you want to catch that while you wait for the sped up version, then go right, you know, by all means go right ahead. And pretty much I'm kind of looking for what to add to that top corner there, because I didn't really like the look of the white flower, especially once I found those beautiful red roses. I was like, okay, I need something else there. So I opted for this little cluster of black, like rosettes. They're like little fabric rosettes. So I kind of opted for that. I'm going to be placing a cute little pearl in the center. and I'm going to be adding some pearls kind of all around. And then that'll pretty much finish what the front of it looks like for now. In the second part of this video, the last part of this video, you're going to see how I create a closure for the inside to kind of hold the covers closed, so that if you are going to display this, your book doesn't open up on you and it kind of holds itself together. I'm also going to share with you how I decorated the covers on the inside as well, and how I kind of changed up the look of how it looks in the front just a little bit. I end up removing that gold and placing something, you know, to kind of cover that up. And I'm super excited to see who's going to end up winning this. So once I have uploaded my third sped up version of this process, within the next couple days after that, I will be going through my live streams and looking at the chat log and just seeing who was actively engaging and communicating from the beginning towards the end, you know, who kind of stuck it out through most of the process, if not all of the process. And I'm going to be doing that for all 3 of the videos, and those people are going to get an extra entry. If you've been on all 3 of the live streams, then you're going to get 3 extra bonus entries. If you've been on 1, you're going to get 1. If you've been on 2, you're going to get 2. Plus, if you have to comment on all 3 parts of the video in order to get an additional entry. So if you comment on all 3 parts, you're going to get 1 entry for commenting on all 3 videos. So you have the option of having up to 4 entries in total into the drawing for this album. I wasn't really quite sure what to add in the center of that. I really liked the sticker, the way that it looked. I mean, it's so beautifully embossed and detailed, and I love the silver and the black on it. But I wasn't sure what to add in the center, so I just added a cute little butterfly. Whoever ends up winning this, feel free to just, you know, alter it if you want to and make it your own. That is okay with me. Feel free to add maybe a cabochon or something else in the center of that. Whatever you would like to do is a-okay.